The Northeast Center and Bassett have a mission for healthy rural communities, and you don't get much more rural than getting to the middle of a woodlot in central or northern Maine and really paying attention to what are the specific health issues of the workers there and how can we tailor those solutions to those workers in that rural community.
Historically, logging is one of the most dangerous professions that you can be in. So it's important, loggers are really focused on production and efficiency and getting their job done. They're in the field all the time, working hard to make a living. So it's been great to work with NEC to have their research identify specific causes of injury and come up with some controls to help us manage those in the field.
It's just really changed from a physically demanding job to more of a mentally demanding job.
I used to run processor. I finally, after a number of years of doing that, well, both processor and forwarder, I just finally asked them, can I just stop being so stressed? Because you make a mistake with that thing, and it's 80 feet tall, and it can come back and bite you.
Say they've got 7 to 10 decisions to make in a half a second, and they make one of those decisions wrong. We're not worried about if they cut the wood right or not. We're worried about if they get hurt, and things can go wrong in a hurry with machines that big and powerful.
Conventional logging is a dangerous profession because there's a lot of uncontrolled elements that you try to control them. The areas that you have to pay attention the most are, when you're felling the tree. That's the place where if you become injured, it's going to be from a broken top from another tree, a top coming out of that tree, the tree kicking back, hitting you. A lot of people survive cuts and, that typical slip and fall that comes along with working in the wood. Not many people walk away from being hit by a tree or a top or a tree that kicks back and strikes them. And that's usually when they find someone dead in the woods.
The Northeast Center works all across the Northeast in a 12-state region, and logging is very different across that region. Up in Maine, we might be more mechanized, using large equipment to harvest, but as you move down across New England into New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, much logging there is still hand harvest crews, and the dangers still exist. So folks are still using chainsaws, traumatic injuries are still happening there, although knowing how to use a chainsaw safely and how to fell a tree safely in limb and buck is critical for a person's own business, for their profitability, but also to keep coming back to work every day.
These are family-based businesses, multi-generational businesses. They work long hours. They don't get paid extremely well like other industries, but they love what they do. They bleed sawdust.
Logging is in my blood. My great-grandfather started in the woods before he even got out of high school. And then as time went on, my grandfather started his business in the mid-60s. By the time I bought the business, it's a bunch of processors and forwarders. Very seldom do we work for big land management companies, just small 50 to 250 acre wood lots mostly.
I do selective wood harvesting in mid-coast and central Maine area. I work alone every day, and I use a chainsaw to fell the trees and to limb them and to buck them up on the landing, and then use a cable skidder to remove them from the woods. It's important for loggers to see someone come out and view what we actually do, because it's very easy to instruct someone from, through an email or send a letter or over a phone call. But if you don't know what someone is facing day to day, you really can't make an accurate recommendation for them to make changes in their workplace.
It's as much about me knowing about public health, but it's as much about the loggers teaching me about their industry and us sharing those experiences together, because we can't create what we're going to solely. It has to be a joint effort, and that work and that communication and that learning experience only happens when you step out of your comfort zone and actually put yourself into the shoes of someone else.
They took what we had to say to heart, and they worked with us. I think had they just kind of laughed us off and said, we can work with this group, it's not going to matter, they never would have gotten the results that they've gotten. They wouldn't have created the relationships that they've had. They never would have provided the information and data back to the individuals. So it's a give and take, it's 50-50. They trust us and we now trust them. And so when now someone picks up the phone or they see, an upstate New York telephone number calling them, they know that they can trust who they're talking to.
It's one of those things you just didn't expect they would stick around, and they've been at logging shows, they've been at the PLC spring trainings that we do, and they just continue to bring things to light. And honestly, health isn't safety's always on our mind, but not maybe necessarily health. And they're really trying to help us be healthier.
You know, we really live in really rural communities where we don't have a lot of resources and we don't have a lot of facilities around to support us. So having an agency like the NEC come in and help us with some of these, you know, health and safety issues and personal health and wellness issues, I think can play a huge role in supporting that, you know, for the logger himself, but also helping establish a healthy lifestyle, you know, for the communities across the board.
NEC's relationships and continuance of relationships with Maine loggers to help them improve their lives is vital to the success of the industry.
We probably know there's a problem there. We just don't know how to come up with the solution to help that get better. And they seem really dedicated to being able to do that for us.
That's why NEC is so important to me, because it's going to allow me to continue doing the things that I love for many, many years. They keep bringing me new information, they keep making themselves available to me, and every time I see them, I get a smile.